The Canucks come up with one of their most listless performances of the season, and that is saying something as they fall 3-1 to the St. Louis Blues. This is Rink Wide Vancouver. And we welcome you inside the Pacific Toyota Dealer Studios. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Pacific Toyota dealer today. Rink Wide brought to you in part by Bet365. Check out Bet365's 3-goal early payout. When your team goes up 3, you get paid. It's that simple. Download the app today. Must be 19 plus. Please play responsibly. Well, the sun was shining here in Vancouver, so that was a nice change. What looked a lot the same was the Vancouver Canucks. They go quietly into this sunny Saturday night. 3-1, the Blues defeat the Canucks. I'm Jeff, and that is Tyson Cole of Canucks Army fame, and boy, did Irf dodge a bullet by sitting this one out today. As I said right off the top, I mean, there have been a lot of poor performances by the Vancouver Canucks. There have been a lot of nights where they're the second best team on the ice, clearly, but there have not been many where they had nothing going. And this wasn't Tampa that came to town. Mm-hmm. This is the St. Louis Blues. They've been better since the Olympic break, but check the standings. They're still 27th or 28th in the National Hockey League. They don't score many goals. They didn't score a lot of goals in this one, but the Canucks got one, and boy, for most of the night, it didn't feel like they were going to get any.
Well, they didn't need to. The Blues didn't need to get many goals in this game. I mean, the Vancouver Canucks didn't have anything going. They were lifeless, to say. Like, they didn't generate much offense, and like you said, it's not like this is a world beater. This is not like a team contending for the playoffs even at all. They're contending with the Canucks for dead last in the league, and this is the performance they gave out tonight. I'll say, if I knew this game was going to go this way, I wouldn't have said yes to covering for Irf today. But here we are.
I'm glad to have you in. It's been a while, so it's good to get you back in here.
Yep.
There are 13 games to go, and maybe that's the best news in all of this. Is you scratch another one off, and they're that much closer to the end of the season. But there's still 13 to go, Tyson, and mm-hmm. There can't be many more that look and feel like this. Like, the Canucks have been trying so hard to sell this notion of they've turned a page. The trade deadline marked the new era in Vancouver Canucks hockey, and how many times over the last couple of weeks have we heard the vibes? The vibes are good. The vibes are strong. They battled back to defeat the Nashville Predators in a shootout. The vibes are high. I can assure you, I was there for the first two periods tonight. The vibes were not high at Rogers Arena. And it is still professional sports. It is still an entertainment business, and the people were not entertained. The home record's now 8-23-5. It still just boggles my mind every time I read those types of numbers. And this was the 40th regulation loss of the season for the Vancouver Canucks, who are now 21-40-8. So they remain on 50 points, and they stay 13 points back at Calgary, now with 13 games to go. And even if there are a few of you that still somehow think that the Canucks are going to ruin their draft lottery odds, I can assure you, stand down. Mm-hmm. 13 points back with 13 games to go. It ain't happening. They haven't officially clinched last place in the NHL standings, but you can pretty much give that to them on a silver platter now.
Yeah, and I wrote about this over at Canucks Army where, this was, looking at the rest of the schedule, this was one of the games that was, you could categorize as winnable based on where teams are in the standings. It was the Blues and the Flames. Those are the only two teams that aren't currently in a playoff spot or battling for it. And to have a performance like this against one of those winnable games when, you can say that, the culture has changed and everything's looking up and there's positive vibes and all that. But when you have performances like that, where's the life? Where is that positive energy in the locker room, translating on the ice? It just didn't look like it was there at all.
The Canucks had a 20-minute practice. You were there at UBC. Mm-hmm. Adam Foote talked about the fact they had played the night before. Yep. It was a reset practice, but knowing that this was a 4 o'clock start and they wouldn't have a morning skate, he just wanted a brisk workout, and then he wanted his guys to rest up and be ready to go, to conserve their energy. And that was the thinking at the very least. Mm-hmm. And yet the first period rolls around. The Canucks managed 4 shots on goal, 3 of them on a power play. Mm-hmm. They had one even strength shot in the first period. It was from Zeev Buium. So a forward didn't have an even strength shot on goal in the first period. Their job, by definition, and they are all paid well, is to put pucks on and ultimately in the net. And not a single forward had a shot on goal at 5-on-5 for the Vancouver Canucks in the first period. It was wild. Again, these are the Blues. This is 9 times in the last 10 games now where they have failed to score more than 3 goals. This is who they are. They don't score. They don't have a star. Robert Thomas leads their team with 45 points. They've got depth, but they don't score a bunch. And yet, in the first period, at even strength, according to Natural Stat Trick, the shot attempts were 19-2 for the St. Louis Blues. The St. Louis freaking Blues. And the shot attempts were 19-2. The scoring chances were 8-0. Mm-hmm. Like, again, the Canucks want to create this narrative that they're playing for each other. You can't pick and choose the nights that you feel like playing for each other or playing for yourself. This is the big leagues. And so, really interested to hear what Adam Foote has to say. Mm-hmm. We'll bring his comments to you if we can. And certainly it starts at the top. And so, he calls his timeout the other night against Tampa. It's 4-0. The game's away from them, and he's just trying to stem the bleeding. How about halfway through the first period? Mm-hmm. Call a timeout and light your team up. Mm-hmm. Like, you want to get the fans on board that things are going to change around here. Like, Adam Foote's complicit in this. In fact, he's played a large role in where they are in the standings. And I know it's not conventional, but nothing about this season has been conventional. Mm. And it didn't get a whole lot better in the second period. I mean, the Blues had 2 goals disallowed or overturned. They did score 2. But use your timeout differently if you're Adam Foote. And that's something we haven't seen from him all season. I mean, he has remained remarkably positive in the face of all of this losing, but I just feel like this was a night where, if you were going to blow a gasket, go for it. Like, even if it's performative behind the bench, I don't know. Like, something had to change, and ultimately it didn't until the Canucks score a power play goal midway through the third period. And at that point, it's a 2-1, like, against all odds. It's a 2-1 hockey game, and they're 1 shot away. That shot didn't ever materialize, but I mean, just way too quiet from the coach on down here, the leaders, the supposed scorers. Filip Hronek ultimately does get credit for the goal that deflects off Logan Mailloux. But boy, I mean, I take my notes on a nightly basis, and as I look through my notes tonight, there were a bunch of St. Louis opportunities, not much doing outside of a Nils Höglander slap shot about 4 minutes into the third period. Yeah. And it looked like he just tried to drill it right through Jordan Binnington.
Didn't like that play from him.
Yeah.
I mean, if you take, first off, credit to Marco Rossi for taking the hit to make the play and feed the pass over to Höglander. But then you're coming down the wing and you see that Jordan Binnington is coming out way out of his net to test you, cutting down all the angles. Where are you going to, where do you plan on shooting that puck? Like, you have to go through him. Otherwise, you're not going to beat him anywhere else. So what, you don't have anyone coming towards you necessarily. Like, if you take it outside, the goalie's way out of position, unless he dives over and gets a paddle save, like, you should have an open net.
Yeah, make the goalie make a spectacular save in that moment, and you're right. And I think that just kind of felt like a season of frustration. Höglander was going to, just put it right through Binnington, put everything he had into the slap shot. And I don't think of Nils Höglander with an overpowering slap shot. No. Whatever the case, add it to the pile of things that weren't done correctly or didn't go well for the Vancouver Canucks. And just back to Adam Foote for a sec here. Yeah. They're down 2-1. There's 4 minutes to go. Linus Karlsson played the bulk of this game on a line with Elias Pettersson and Drew O'Connor. It was a promotion from the other night, all season essentially. Mm-hmm. People have been clamoring to see Karlsson get more ice time, to get opportunities, and it was the right call. He started him in that spot. 4 minutes to go, you're down a goal, and Evander Kane, who hadn't been seen all night long, finds himself in Karlsson's spot with Pettersson and O'Connor. Make it make sense to me.
He hit the Evander Kane at 5-on-5 button. That's all it is. What I just don't understand why this guy's continuing to get that heavy 5-on-5 deployment. Like tonight, he was third among forwards in 5-on-5 ice time with 14.25.
And started the night on the fourth line.
Yeah. I don't understand that. Like, I noticed it last game that I was at. I followed him for a full shift, and he just came off the bench, glided through the neutral zone, offensive zone. I think he took probably 3 strides the whole shift, and he went back into the defensive zone. It's like, where's your care level? Where's that care factor? Like, that's not a good example to set on the ice where you're just gliding around as a veteran. Like, pick up your feet. Show some initiative that you want to go get that puck.
Game 996, he's closing in on 1,000, and he'll get there. It's a question of, does it happen out on the road? Do they jig the system and give him his 1,000th game on home ice? But if they do that, it means they're going to have to sit him out, and that's something that they just haven't done to this point. And Max Sasson was the guy that came out. Curtis Douglas got back in the lineup, and that was part of the wild thing, too, is that so there was the shift with 4 minutes to go where Kane gets an opportunity, again, down a goal. The next shift, Curtis Douglas, who hasn't scored a National Hockey League goal, Curtis Douglas is out on the ice. Now, Curtis Douglas ended up playing a career-high 11 minutes and 21 seconds. Had a big hit on Philip Broberg early in the hockey game, and I thought, good, he's into it, going to set the tone. That was one of 2 hits that he had. He had a couple nice shot blocks in the first period, but he's not out there. I mean, he's got the long levers, and they get in the way. Ends up with 3 shot blocks on the night, but it's the 11-21 that jumped out at me for Curtis Douglas, because we just haven't seen him play that much, and had never played that much in a National Hockey League game, but was surprised to see him getting a shift with 3 minutes left in a 1-goal game.
Yeah,
we want to hear from you, fully interactive here at Rink Wide, as always, so we'll monitor the chat, but also want you to bring it with a super chat, and when you do, it's in support of our charity partner again this season, the BC Mental Health Foundation, changing the face of mental health and addiction by supporting breakthroughs in care, public understanding, research, and knowledge exchange. Spadzilli, a regular contributor, says, so we are all Rink Wide. We appreciate that, and we appreciate the super chat. And look, we need you. There's 13 games to go. Don't tune out. Don't check out. Maybe you check out on the hockey game, but then check back in afterwards. We'll be here each and every night with Rink Wide, right down to the bitter end. So, old friend Pius Suter, who had a really nice season last year here, as we all recall, 25 goals, 46 points. And the Canucks could have used him down the middle for much of this season. That said, he has reverted to the Pius Suter outside of every other year, but last year. Scored his 11th of the year. It was a goal sort of befitting this game at the time. It was ugly. It happened in slow motion, and the puck just kind of, he pushes it. Not even sure that he got his stick on it, but got enough of a body part. Phil Hronik didn't do enough to tie up Pius Suter. Suter gets his 11th of the year from Robert Thomas and Dylan Holloway at 10:17 of the second period, and that was the first official goal because Holloway, or Snuggerud thought he had scored. Holloway took that puck to the net, didn't get out of the crease, interfering with Kevin Lankinen, and they waved it off right away. No penalty on the play, but a goal was waved off, and so Suter opens the scoring, and then Buchnevich makes it 2-0. And how many times? We saw it the other night against Tampa. The 3 quick goals to start the second period.
Yep.
Here it's 2 goals just over a minute apart. That second period has been absolute poison to the Vancouver Canucks, and was again. I mean, it has sunk this team on so many nights this season.
Yeah, and I think you asked a really good question to Adam Foote. Like, is it just the fact of the long change? But I don't think it necessarily is.
It's like, the same long change for both teams.
Exactly. So you can't say that one team is so disadvantaged compared to the other. I don't have an answer as to why that is. Maybe just the other team realizes, okay, we see that you can kind of attack the Canucks through the middle of the ice, and oftentimes they're not going to do anything about it, and then that's probably where other teams find success and then just keep them hemmed in their own zone. But, it's getting ugly. I mean, Jimmy Snuggerud should have had probably 2 points in that period. Like,
he could have had 8 goals tonight. He missed the net a bunch, but puck just seemed to be finding him. Yeah. Just back to I asked Adam Foote yesterday out at UBC about the second periods because they gave up the 3 quick ones to Tampa. They had given up 93. Gave up 2 more here, so they're up to 95 second period goals, by far the most in the National Hockey League in any period this season by any team. And I thought his answer was interesting in as much as he talked about the fact that way too often this season, guys have extended shifts with poor decisions, and then they get caught out, they get tired. Then they have to defend, and ultimately teams just zip it around until they finally score. Mm-hmm. Now, he didn't name names. We may have to press him at some point on that. But I didn't think that was necessarily the case here. I didn't like Hronek's defense on Suter. Mm-hmm. The Buchnevich goal, I know that there's been a bunch of flowers for the Bro line, and look, they have been the bright light for the Canucks of late. That was a brutal shift for them.
Yep. And
Brock Boeser, as we show it here on the live stream, you can see Boeser, he's a right winger, but he gets pulled out of position to the middle of the ice, leaves Buchnevich wide open there at the point, the cross seam. Again, how many times have they been killed by cross seam passes? Mm-hmm. So I don't know that it was necessarily an extended shift in this case, but it was more of the same. It was overloading. It was guys getting drawn out of their position. We've devoted so much time to Adam Foote and his defensive systems and the fact that just not enough guys have figured it out. And there's only 13 games to go. But, there were breakdowns all over the ice there. Not a whole lot that Kevin Lankinen could do. It's the NHL. You give a guy half the net to shoot at, and Buchnevich doesn't miss, gets his 16th of the season, and all of a sudden it's 2-0, and now the Canucks are in a massive hole.
Yeah, I want to go back to what you were saying about the long change and long shifts, like extended shifts. It wasn't a case on that goal, but you could see both Rossi and Boeser are just caught puck watching, which all the line was. And that was, You'd leave Buchnevich open right there. He's going to bury that more likely than not. But Boeser did get kind of saved by a long shift because on that, I think it was the Holloway goal.
Holloway,
yeah. He was out there for 2 minutes, and he's playing on the right wing. He's away from the bench. So that, he was out there for so long, and it didn't look like he was, trying too hard. He was a little tired, and I can't blame him for that, but he was out there for a long time. I think Hronek and DPD were as well. So
on that play, Hronek makes a weak clearing attempt that if you're going to flip it high, flip it out, hit the scoreboard, you get it out to center. Yeah. He basically just advances it 15 feet. It's still in the zone. Mm-hmm. And was it Snuggerud that knocked it down with a high stick? Yeah. And, on the replay, yes, the initial point of contact is above his shoulders. And, we use the crossbar, but you don't often see the high stick out by the blue line, so you don't have the goalposts. I think the refs got that one right, but you're right. It bailed out Boeser. Mm-hmm. It bails out Hronek, and ultimately it doesn't matter to the Blues because they win this thing going away.
They didn't need the goal.
But yeah, 2 that counted, 2 that didn't in that second period. And it was 2-0 after 2, and the shots were 16-10. So the Canucks, on the night, you can see at the bottom of the screen there, the shots are 21-15. 15 shots on goal for the Vancouver Canucks. They had 4 in the first, 6 in the second, and 5 when they were pushing. Their only goal comes on a power play. They finished the night with 9 even strength shots. Just unacceptable all around. Let's get to the 3 stars of this hockey game.
There were 3 stars in this game?
Well, for a long time. That was sort of the joke on Press Row. It's like, they're going to give out 3 stars in this thing. But hey, some heroes did emerge as the night went along. 3 stars here on Rink Wide are always brought to you by Greta Bar. We tell you on every episode, if you haven't checked it out yet, you should. All the big screens. There's so much going on in sports right now. The push to the playoffs in other markets is on, so some good hockey being played, high-stakes hockey. You got March Madness, baseball season, spring training, and soon enough it'll be opening day. You name it, not too far from the Masters. So lots happening in the sports world, and Greta, a great place to check all of it out on the big screens. They got the street food menu, the weekly drink specials as well, and then all those arcade games as well. A ton of fun. So what are you waiting for? Greta Bar, the place to be, 50 West Cordova, Greta Bar. Let the games begin. 3 stars in the building, selected by Hockey Night, Pavel Buchnevich, Filip Hronek, and Jimmy Snuggerud. There wasn't a Canuck that deserved a star here. Filip Hronek scored, but I didn't think it was a particularly strong game for him. Took the penalty late that negated the chance to pull a goaltender and work with an extra attacker. Mm-hmm. So some home cooking perhaps for Phil Hronek there. But clean sweep for the Blues. There's Buchnevich. He has a goal. He has an assist. The assist was on the empty netter, but still around the puck and making things happen for the St. Louis Blues. Yeah, I was drawn to Jimmy Snuggerud. I just, especially in that second period, it felt every time the puck was on his stick, it was a scoring opportunity. He had 5 shots on goal in this game, and there's Logan Mailloux. Has a couple of assists as well. So, I know the puck went in off. We won't hold that against him. The one Canuck goal did go off his stick ultimately behind Jordan Binnington, but a couple of assists on 3 goals. So Logan Mailloux sneaks in as the third star here on Rink Wide.
Yeah, he did. I mean, he technically had a goal. So
I suppose, yes.
I want to go back to Jimmy Snuggerud because I thought he had a really, really good game. He obviously didn't contribute to the scoring. He should have, but I think he's kind of becoming a little bit of a Canucks killer. In the third game of the season against the Canucks, he scored 2 goals, had 6 shots on goal in that game. And I believe, he scored again on October 30th in St. Louis against the Canucks. So not surprised that he almost scored again tonight, even though it didn't count.
Marco Rossi gets an assist on the Hronik goal, so he extends his point streak. It's up to 5 games now, 10 points. Hard to argue with that. 2 points per game, but needed more from him, needed more from everybody across the board. And again, pretty forgettable night when you look at individual performances for the Vancouver Canucks. Drew O'Connor led the team with 4 of those 15 shots that we talked about. Nobody else had more than 2. And a bunch of guys, when you only have 15, a bunch had zeros in the shots on goal column, including Elias Pettersson earlier this week. It was all about more shots, goals, and 2 games removed from that, doesn't have a single shot on goal. Did have 3 shot attempts, but no shots for Teddy Bluger, no shots for Jake DeBrusk or Vander Kane, Liam Ogren. Hard to win when those are your forwards and they're not getting pucks to the net. So difficult night all around for the Vancouver Canucks. 6 games into this 8-game homestand now, 2 to go. Got California teams coming in, Anaheim on Tuesday, and then the homestand wraps up with a visit from the Los Angeles Kings on Thursday night. Should mention as well, they wore the black skates. Look, the home ice record's been so dismal that it doesn't matter what color they wear, and maybe somewhere along the line they should have changed to pink pajamas or something, but one more look at the black skate for this season on April the 7th when Vegas is in town. So otherwise it'll be the traditional blue, and that includes the home finale. So just one more look at the black skate against the Golden Knights on April the 7th. Stat that stands out. We do that each and every night here on Rink Wide. You know, it's funny. You were looking back at past games and Jimmy Snuggerud. How about this? With Filip Hronik scoring the only goal here tonight, Kiefer Sherwood was the only Canuck forward to score against St. Louis this season. He had 5 goals. And he had a hat trick, and then he had 2. The last time the Blues were in town, he had the only 2 Canuck goals. So Kiefer Sherwood went to town against the St. Louis Blues, the only Canuck to score. You'd have to go back through the annals, and I'm not going to do this, but in a 3-game season series, to have only 1 forward on a team. Now, he didn't play tonight.
But that's more impressive. He only played 2 of the 3 games.
You're right. Absolutely. It adds to the legend of Kiefer Sherwood. So, again, it kind of underscores the fact that he wasn't in the lineup tonight and certainly wasn't getting challenged for the team goal-scoring lead against the Blues this season. So, yes, that's a stat that stands out for sure. Kiefer Sherwood in San Jose. The Sharks are taking on some water now. I was sort of hoping the Plucky Sharks were going to make a playoff push. They're not out of it, but they lost their 4th straight in regulation. So it's been more than a week now for them since they picked up points, and that is difficult. We won't worry too much about the Sharks. We'll see if they can pull it out. The Pacific Division is such a disaster. The first 5 games of the day involving Pacific Division teams, regulation losses, Vegas, LA, San Jose. Who am I missing? There was, Seattle. Seattle lost in Columbus. And Edmonton in the late game against Tampa is going to be tough.
Good luck.
Could very well be a clean sweep of losses for the Pacific Division team.
Before we get back to the Canucks, if you're I think it's actually better if you're a Pacific Division team and you finish 2nd or 3rd. Like, I would rather play another Pacific Division team than have to play the Utah Mammoth, because we saw Utah play Anaheim the other night, and I think Utah won that game, didn't they?
Anaheim beat Utah last night.
Okay.
But Utah went into Vegas the other night and shut them out. I think Vegas is the biggest paper tiger going. Like, their goaltending is a disaster.
Awful.
They're not particularly quick, and Utah is, and I think that would be a tough matchup for Vegas. So, no, I hear where you're coming from there, and ultimately we're going to see how all of this plays out. Anaheim was idle, so Anaheim remains atop the Pacific Division. Anaheim at home to Buffalo tomorrow, and the Sabres just, again, continuing to roll. Ran wild in Los Angeles this afternoon, but that could be a fun game, Anaheim and Buffalo. Lots of offense, and we'll see if there's enough goaltending on the Anaheim side and defense to keep the Sabres at bay on a back-to-back night. We talked a little bit about the underlying numbers. This is the breakdown from this game. Yeah, we're back to the Canucks and the Blues.
I tried to steer it away. I'm sorry, everybody.
No, you didn't. That was a good little diversion. But at 5-on-5, the shot attempts were 50-26 in favor of the St. Louis Blues. The actual shots at 5-on-5 were 18-9. The scoring chances were 28-13. So ugly all around. If you're a Vancouver Canuck fan and you're still engaged with this hockey club, I posted the heat map after one period. I don't know if you saw it.
I
but,
did.
It was something.
Yeah, it was a lot of white ice in the Canucks zone.
Yeah. Second straight game, tough go for Teddy Bluger. He was sort of the Corsi chump as far as the Canucks are concerned. Shots were 6-0 in the Blues' favor, so Bluger and his line mates just making absolutely nothing happen. As I look at the actual box score from this game, a couple of things that jumped out at me. I'm always looking at the young defenders and how their ice time was doled out. Zeev Buium plays 23 minutes and 36 seconds on a night when there wasn't much happening for the Vancouver Canucks. I noticed him. I thought he was trying to make things happen on his shifts. Tom Verlander plays just a shade over 18 minutes in this hockey game. The guy with the new contract in his back pocket, Victor Mancini, he was at 13:41 in DPD. Low ice time for him, 14 minutes and 34 seconds. So he started the night with Phil Hronek, but I think Buium was bumped into that spot. And I think that's just a function of the coaches getting a read on the game. And, this wasn't a particularly physical contest. So it wasn't like, you had to make sure that DPD was getting his minutes. And so, hey, whatever. I'm all for Zeev Buium getting ice time. And let's just take the conversation there because you wrote a fascinating piece at Canucks Army. I see it's getting a lot of traction and great response.
Yeah.
You had, I was standing there out at UBC yesterday. Was it 15 minutes you had with Zeev Buium?
Yep.
He is a quote machine. I mean, he's a smart guy. He's articulate. He's intelligent. And, man, like every quote in your piece was a banger from Zeev Buium. So it was all about sort of, the talk of culture and how do you change the culture and being a part of changing the culture here. I'll let you speak to it, but nice write-up, nice read. And as I said, I'm glad to see it getting the reaction, the response that it seems to be online.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It was awesome. I mean, Zeev is he's so well-spoken and everything, and you can see that with, the interviews that they post-game and all that. But it was, a couple quotes just stand out to me. It does seem like he's a leader, and it seemed like he was telling stories about going back to his USNTTP days, and he was like, yeah, it's all about culture and like developing that chemistry and connection off the ice with your teammates before anything will translate on the ice. Like he said, he started having hangouts at his house on Sundays. Like he would invite all of his team over just to build up that camaraderie. And I thought that was awesome. And it was about playing for the guy next to you. You weren't just teammates. You were best friends and you were brothers. And that was kind of the big emphasis in something that he wants to bring here. And I mean, the culture's been a big talking point in Vancouver for so long. And, it doesn't have to be the vets bringing that in. Zeev Buium's been a winner at every single level he's played at throughout his hockey career. But he also told me that his first year at the USNTTP, he was on the worst team ever.
Yeah, that was interesting.
It was the worst team statistically. And then the next year they bounced back with, they were the best. Their centers had the best faceoff percentage, best power play, best penalty kill. They won on a 14-game winning streak against college teams, which is unheard of, is what he said for the USNTTP. So, and it wasn't like the team changed at all year over year. It was just they spent time together. They developed that relationship, and then it translated to results. And I mean, then they went on to win the championship. So just a lot of a lot of good stuff. I encourage you guys to read it if you haven't. And
I second that.
yeah,
It's funny because, like, in my mind, that U.S. National Development Team program is a wagon every year. Like, it's just stacked with, the best of the best. Like, the idea that they had a season, I'd have to go back and, I trust him. He lived it, but that one caught my attention because I thought, how can, it feels foolproof with the skill, the top end skill that they produce every year. Now, playing college teams, I guess, you're playing older, more mature, experienced guys. Whatever the case, you can read all about that up at Canucks Army as is instant reaction if you have it in you to relive the 3-1 Blues victory over the Vancouver Canucks. Filip Hronek, we talked about him as sort of an eventful night. Yes, he scored, but took the penalty. I didn't think he was great defensively, and nobody came out of this thing unscathed, really, when it came to the underlying numbers. But Filip Hronek, front and center in the locker room after the game. Let's hear from the Canucks veteran blue liner and one of the alternate captains.
Yeah, I think third period was our best period. We tried to push, didn't work, so that sucks.
Why do you think you came out so flat? Why was it such a hard go in the first?
Well, I don't think we came out flat in the first, obviously. I thought, our second wasn't great, and we scored goals there, so we have to get better in second period.
Is that something that St. Louis was doing?
I don't think so. I think we have to be better in the second period.
Find your way inside.
Yeah.
Do you think you need to generate more shots as a group, and what can you do to test the other goalie more often?
Yeah, I think more shots, you have more chances you get, right? So, we have to put more pucks on net and try to create chaos.
What do you think of the penalty on you?
I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to comment.
Did the ref give you any explanation after the fact?
No.
For Zibuyan, looks like he's been playing with some more confidence, more zip over the past couple weeks. Have you seen the same thing from him?
Yeah, he's moving his feet and making plays, so it's great to see that.
What about Marco? He's been losing a lot of points the last games. What did he brought?
Yeah, I mean, he's playing amazing right now, and he's making plays all over the ice, and I think overall that line is working pretty good.
A man of few words, Filip Hronek. Now, again, I'm not going to take issue with this notion, but and I know it's right after a game and they haven't reviewed tape and stuff, but maybe I am taking issue with the idea that they didn't come out flat. He was asked point blank, why did you come out flat? And said, we didn't. And then he pointed to the second period, but I go back to this idea that they had 4 first period shots and 3 of them came on a power play. Like, a player has to feel that, the question is being asked for a reason. So they were flat in the second period too. He's not wrong about that part. He's just missing the answer to the first
part.
Yeah.
I just don't understand how he couldn't think that they were flat in the first period. Like, you had 2 shot attempts, you know? Like,
I mean,
do you not notice that?
Pro athletes are conditioned not to look at their weaknesses and their, failings. I get that part of it, but again, like, it was such a dud of a first period that even the players have to recognize that. So, whatever the case,
it's funny in the interview. He is a man of few words, but the one question I think he wanted to answer, he couldn't answer
about the penalty.
Yeah.
This segment of Rink Wide is presented by Pacific Toyota Dealers and the Toyota Prius plug-in hybrid, and it's a no-compromise approach to electric vehicles that offers the best of both worlds. Drive up to 72 kilometers on battery alone. That's enough to get you from downtown to the rink to the grocery store and home to recharge. It seamlessly transitions from electric mode to the gas engine for a combined range of 962 kilometers. No sacrifices when it comes to horsepower or style, with its sleek, low, wide exterior and sophisticated interior, loaded with tech that's actually easy to use. Plug in to recharge at home or at one of the over 2,000 public charging stations in BC alone. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Pacific Toyota dealer during Red Tag Days from March through May. All right, still hoping to hear from Adam Foote because I am curious if he tries to spin this thing and take the positives out of a third period push as Philip Hronek started the sell there. That's kind of missing the plot of the way this night went. So we'll see. I haven't even seen any tweets about quotes from Adam Foote, so not sure that he has made his way to the podium. Maybe need a little breather after watching this one. Catch his breath and calm himself down perhaps a little bit. Whatever the case, not good enough for the Vancouver Canucks, and we'll see if they are better. They got a couple of days off now before they play against Anaheim on Tuesday night.
I got a question for you, Jeff.
Yeah.
What did you think about, because I know we hit on Evander Kane a little bit, getting that promotion for whatever reason. But earlier I was going to say something. Curtis Douglas was out there in the final 3 minutes of the game. Liam Ogren didn't play a shift after the 4:25 mark, it looks like, and Curtis Douglas played after him. And we also kind of saw Adam Foote kind of juggling with the lines. Like Rossi was with DeBrusk and Höglander, I believe, and not with his regular line mates. And that's kind of the one line that's really been going, the bro line. And then they split that up. I was a little confused to see that. What did you think?
Yeah, I think people are getting caught up in the production of the bro line. Like the other night against Tampa, yes, they scored off the rush to make it 4-1. That was their first unblocked shot attempt of the night, and it was late in the second period, and they got absolutely buried.
Yeah.
And even tonight, in 8 minutes and 13 seconds of ice time, the bro line, not very good. Shot attempts were 8-2 in St. Louis's favor. Now, the shots were just 1-1, but again, the Blues were missing the net an awful lot. We talked about Besser, and if we use him sort of as a proxy for that line, he struggled in the second period. They struggled in the second period. So I think there's sort of two separate things with those guys that, yes, offensively, they have found some chemistry and they've been productive, and Rossi's up to the 5-game point streak. All that's true, but two ends of the ice, and when you sort of scrape beneath the point production, the last week really hasn't been terribly dynamic for those guys. So I don't know if there were some things in Ogren's game tonight that the coaching staff saw that they elected to make the change. I remember he had one chance, I think in the third period, fired it wide, but he looked like he got a lot on the shot. But again, challenged Bennington, make him make a save, those types of things. And so, but I'd be curious. And again, that's kind of why I'm hoping that we do get the opportunity here from the head coach on a night like tonight. Now, saying what I said, I mean, I still like a lot about Liam Ogren's game. I like what I've seen in his time here. You're not going to have 82 perfect nights. It just doesn't happen. So if this was an off night for him, then, back to practice, back on the horse, and hopefully he is better next time around when they get back at it against the Ducks on Tuesday night.
Yeah, I mean, whatever it was, I mean, I think he's got a bigger sample size of playing well than he doesn't. So I wouldn't expect anything bad to happen. But I just want to go back to what you were saying. I agree. A lot of their production and Rossi and Besser's production has kind of been on the power play lately. So 5-on-5, they are getting caved in and all that. But who else is scoring? Who else is generating those offensive chances, like in offensive zone time? Like, it's them, and it's really not a lot of, you don't have a lot of your other lines going right now. So it just seems like, why are you breaking up the one thing that's going well for you when nothing else is?
No, I think that's a fair shout. And again, Adam Foote, for all of the warts that he has to wear about deployment, at the end of the day, his hands are tied because he just doesn't have enough guys that have been productive for the hockey club all season long. One guy that we haven't talked about yet, but I want to get to him and the decision to go with him, is Kevin Lankinen, who started for the third straight game. And this is the first time that he started 3 in a row since the last 8-game homestand in mid-January. Now, of course, the Olympic break was in there, but he went overseas and didn't play, but he was there. Since the Olympics, it's kind of been alternating on occasion when you're in and you get another chance. But he lost the other night to Tampa, and they came back with him. Now, when we look at his night in isolation before we kind of pull out and look at the bigger picture here, the Suter goal was weird. I didn't really have a problem there. Not a whole lot he could do on the Buchnevich goal. again, in the first period, his head had to be on a swivel just because the Blues were firing the puck all over the place. Again, they weren't hitting the target a ton, but even shot attempts, your goaltender, you got to get set. You got to make sure that your reads are accurate. All that, mentally, there's a fair bit of work involved. Even if the shot totals were 5-4 as they were for the Blues in the opening 20 minutes, I thought Lankinen was okay in this hockey game. I didn't think they lost because of their goaltending, and I'm not even sure that Binnington was the better goaltender on the night. They just Binnington wasn't busy. What did you make of Lankinen's night?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you said. Like, I don't blame him for the first goal. That was kind of a fluke play, and the puck followed Pia Suter into the net. And the second goal, that was just a defensive lapse by the skaters out there, not covering the open guy. And I mean, Lankinen did everything he could. He might have fallen over a little bit as he was diving over, but yeah, I don't have a problem with his game. I was, I guess, a little surprised to see him come back tonight and get the start. Like, he was beat from distance quite a bit in the last game. There were a couple bounces, but I mean, all 6 go against your record. So, yeah, and like I said earlier, kind of looking at the winnable games on the schedule, this was probably one of them, and maybe you give that to Tolopilo to try and get his confidence back. But now I don't know what they do. Like, do you go back to Lankinen? Because like we've talked about, I don't know if necessarily these goals were his fault.
Yeah, I think this was a Tolopilo start. And I'm not going to go heavy here and say that Adam Foote completely missed one, but like Nikita Tolopilo hasn't played since the Seattle game last Saturday. He wasn't very good in that game.
No.
But you've made him sit and stew for a week now on a game that he can't be happy with. We've talked about the fact that, does he deserve a run of games? And I think he does. And yet it's Lankinen that gets 3 in a row here for some reason. So now they don't play till Tuesday, and I don't know what their plans are going to be. But if it's not Tolopilo, then you're pushing like his next start whenever it is. Like, I think at this stage where the stakes are so low for the Vancouver Canucks, and it is about development and figuring out what you've got, part of being a professional and part of being a backup goaltender at this level is knowing that you're not going to play every night, and sometimes you do have to sit in the mess that you created like he did in that Seattle game, but I want to see how he bounces back.
Yep.
And so it's going to go more than a week now between starts for Nikita Tolopilo. I just felt like this one, a low-scoring St. Louis team, set up for it to be a Tolopilo start, and they elected to go with Lankinen. Again, not a huge deal. There were bigger issues for the Vancouver Canucks on this night than who was between the pipes. All right, the coach is ready. So we'll listen along with you for the first time here. We haven't had a chance to preview this. Here's Adam Foote after his team falls 3-1 to the St. Louis Blues.
Yeah, we didn't have a good start, like you said. Didn't start on time, and when we started to skate, you saw the pushback.
Through the first 2 periods, it seemed like your team was really struggling to get shot attempts. Was it something the Blues were doing, or do you think it was more so on your team?
Well, they were quick up on us, and we weren't gapping up. Like, it happened in the first early. We didn't have to start on time, and so when you're not gapping up, when you're not pushing up ice, you get caught in between. When our forwards weren't pushing with all 3, then the D weren't gapping up either, and they were just hitting the middle and going back down into our end. In the second period, we have struggled in second periods because we get caught. When we're not skating, we get caught in our end easily, and then we have a hard time stopping cycles. So then once you get out of it, you got to change, and they're right back down. So we've got to manage the puck better, stop the cycles as 5 in the second, and it's hard to generate offense when you're in your end, and then you're having these changes, and the changes were really weak. Like, they weren't even properly. We didn't dump it out deep enough and push them back at their end to at least get our forecheck going. They were doing another quick up. So something we've been working on and addressing. And once we started pushing in the third, we saw it changed. And, we took over the third. But we have to learn to start on time in these afternoon games too.
For Boyan, looks like he's shown some extra confidence maybe over the past few games. Have you seen the same thing in his game?
Yeah, I did. I thought he was pushing, he was holding on to pucks, he made some good plays. Again, he's doing a lot of good stuff. Like, he's learning when to do it, when not to do it, and how to manage it. And again, I like the way he has that swag. He's not afraid to have guys checking him, and he still makes plays. He's just he's going to learn, and he's done a good job adjusting to when not to do it.
I think last game, Adam, you had 10 shots. I might be mistaken. I think you had 10 shots through 2 periods. I know you work on process, and if the process, including things like line changes and your dump outs are better, you're probably going to get more shots. But are actual shots a talking point? Like, do you talk to the team about just getting more pucks on net?
Yeah, we want, especially when we go low to high and direct real quick, and we want our D, like you saw Phil do in the third, and there was chaos at the net. So if they're going to double up in the corners, we're stressing to our D, get it back down quick. If we rim it out, then you can do a D to D. You might have a 3 high play, but we have to get, you're right, shots at the net, and also anchor the net. When we have the anchor there, we can funnel and throw pucks to the net. We're looking for clean plays that aren't there. When we get pucks down and jam the net, you're gonna have to find a way to get those dirty goals.
Marco Rossi had another assist tonight. He's been playing well lately. What have you seen from his game?
Well, he's been pretty good on the offensive side of the puck. We want him to pay more attention on the defensive side of it. Closing guys. On the one goal tonight, his close was slow, and they were able to generate offensive time. So he's adjusting to that part of it. But that line was pretty hot lately as far as generating offensive chances and things like that. But he's been getting there with the offense for sure.
And again tonight, one goal. Goals have been hard to come by for your team the last few games. Any explanation?
Well, today we discussed it already with not having us a good start. And you're playing a little bit disconnected when you're not gapping up and your forwards aren't pressing. You're not skating. You're gonna be checking. So in the second period, if you're not connected and you have those changes, you're not playing on the other team's end. So you saw it happen in the third. Like I said, when we did press and skate, we generated.
All right, measured, as he has been almost every night this season, in the face of so many losses, and as we said, 40 regulation losses now, 8 in the other column. So the 48th, I mean, they're 2 away from a 50-loss season, and yet he has been remarkably composed. I guess somewhere along the line, I thought maybe he would snap or lash out a little bit more. The frustration doesn't seem to be getting to him, or maybe credit to him for at least publicly not letting it show. But unprompted, he talked a lot about the second period there again, and line changes, and just the fact that they couldn't establish a forecheck. And I think that absolutely is a good observation in this hockey game. And I mean, on nights, few as they've been, when the Canucks have had some success, a lot of it has been as a result of their work below the hash marks, get in, hound pucks, turn them over, create some offense. There was just none of that. Life was way too easy for the St. Louis Blues defenders tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I do give Foote credit for not going at his team. I can't imagine how frustrating that's been for him, not being able to kind of outlash and speak his mind and to the media and all that. But, I've noticed kind of something about this team, and throughout the year, they put like one good period together. Like, I think they were pretty fine in the third period. They were pushing at 5-on-5. They actually controlled the shot attempts and everything. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't fantastic. It wasn't, too threatening for the Blues, but it just keeps going. It's just 20 minutes of decent hockey followed by 40 minutes of what are we doing out there?
Yeah, and this league is just way too good. You cannot get away with, maybe a handful of nights a year you can get away with 20 minutes of hockey.
Yep.
Some teams have got away with 20 minutes against the Canucks because they built a big
That's all
league.
they need.
But for the most part, at this level, 20 isn't going to do it. And you're right. And even the other night against Tampa Bay, they get into the first period down 1-0. Like, for 20 minutes, they're still there. But man, that second period, as we talked about earlier, it really has been a dagger to the Vancouver Canucks.
Do you think they get a little bit of false hope because it was 0-0 after the first period? They're like, okay, we're still in this game, but it's like, hey, look at how you're getting dominated territory.
It would be a weird way to look at that first period, but again, when they've been beaten down so many times this year, to get out of the first period without giving up anything, maybe they look at it and think, yeah, hey,
That's a
we're
win.
right there.
Yeah.
And the shots were only 5-4, and yet we talked about territorially how one-sided that first period was. So instead of, and it doesn't have to be guys kicking garbage cans and rah-rah, but to a man, I hope that they would say, hey, not good enough, have to be a whole lot better. And yet I didn't think that they came out and looked a whole lot different to start the second period than they had in the first. So a disappointing night across the board on the scoreboard, entertainment-wise. It was next-gen day with the early start. The future. Hopefully they weren't watching too closely here because they need that next band of fans. Those are the ones that will someday be buying tickets of their own, but hopefully not to that sort of product. All right, it's time for the Bet365 line of the night, so we'll step aside from Canuck talk for a second here, and then we'll come back and preview their next opponent, the Anaheim Ducks, but you're sitting in our seat, so you get the Bet365 line of the night assignment.
I suck. Whenever I come on here, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to play it safe. Parlays rarely hit. I'm just going to do the solo bets. I think I'm 0 for 3, 0 for 4, whatever. You need a winner, and so I'm channeling my inner Earth, and I'm going to be taking a parlay today. All favorites, though, so I don't know how well that'll go, but I like the Hurricanes over the Penguins. Vegas, we talked about how not great they've been. Their goaltending's atrocious. Dallas is on a roll. So Dallas Stars over the Golden Knights, and then Tampa Bay Lightning. I know they're playing right now against the Oilers, but and we want to see the Flames win, so Canucks can hopefully lock up the best odds at first overall. But even with the backup into more, I still like the Lightning. If you pair all three of those up together, you get plus 332 odds. Hockey fans, tired of waiting for the end of the game to get paid? Ready to move on to the next puck drop? That's why Bet365, an official partner of the NHL, has a 3-goal early payout. If the team you're riding goes up 3 goals at any point in the game, they'll pay your bet out early. Hockey moves fast, and now with a 3-goal early payout, there's one less thing that you have to wait around for. Bet365. Download the app today and see what early payouts are all about. Must be 19 years or older. Please play responsibly.
Speaking of responsibility, there was an erroneous report making the rounds, and I saw it being retweeted a bunch, that if the Canucks lost tonight, that they would be officially eliminated from playoff contention. We know that they're not going to the playoffs, but that moment comes where the math just doesn't add up. We're not there yet.
Yeah.
It could happen over the next couple of games, depending what happens on the out-of-town scoreboard as well. But the Canucks have 13 games to go. They got 50 points. There are 26 points still available to them. So theoretically, they can get to 76 points. They're not going to, but they can. And right now, the Nashville Predators holding down the second wildcard spot with 73 points. So there's a little bit of wriggle room there. The Canucks are not mathematically eliminated, nor have they locked down the top draft lottery odds. But again, those things could happen here in relatively short order.
I was told that at the Tampa game, their magic number was 10 points. So over the next 5 games,
if they don't pick up any.
Then so I think we're 3 games away if that math was correct. But
well, and the other thing too is it's a bit of a moving target around the playoff bar because
Right.
Nashville's a point ahead of the Los Angeles Kings. They're 2 up on the Seattle Kraken, and so there can be movement there and some leapfrogging as far as which team is holding down that final playoff spot. Again, they're not making the playoffs, but they're not dead yet. So
but I think people just want to see the E next to their name.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that internet report on social, and it's just not accurate. So we strive to keep it real here on Rink Wide. All right, Canucks and the Ducks on Tuesday night. The Canucks are 2-0 against the Ducks.
Got
Hey, you
their
want
number.
some good news and positivity? Canucks are unbeaten against the Anaheim Ducks. They beat them 5-4 on the pond back in November and shut them out. Yes, 2-0, the shared shutout. Remember when Tolopilo got taken out of the game for the concussion spotter? Lankinen came in for 2 minutes, and then Tolopilo went back in. That was January 29th. So since then, the Ducks are 10-4-1. They didn't like losing, getting shut out by the Vancouver Canucks. They beat Utah 4-1 last night. They are at home to Buffalo tomorrow before they make their way here. And when you look at this Anaheim team, I mean, all sorts of offense. Cutter Gauthier's got 36 goals. Guy had 20 as a rookie and is probably going to double his total here. He's the real deal. 36 goals, 62 points. Leo Carlson has 56 points in 57 games. Now, he missed a little bit of time there, but basically having a point-a-game season. So he has arrived now. Bennett Seneca, what a season he's having. 20 goals, 52 points. They made a bet on Chris Kreider, and it has paid off. The guy's got 21 goals. I think people thought maybe he was washed, and what were they doing? But he has responded.
Yeah, he really fixed the power play. That was the big thing. I think the
yes
Ducks,
and no. Like, percentage-wise, their power play is still like 15 or 16%. Like, it's not great.
It was dead last
but
year.
It was dead last, so only one way to go up.
He's got 7 goals on the power play.
And then they picked up John Carlson. A surprise move there. He's played 3 games for them. Oh, and Radko Gudas is going to be eligible to return from his suspension, so beware, Canucks. He will be on the prowl.
Yep.
I assume he'll get in their lineup, but he is eligible. The game against Buffalo tomorrow is his 5th game of that 5-game suspension for the knee on Austin Matthews. Lukas Dostal has 28 of the 38 wins for the Anaheim Ducks this year. So if he's not in goal, they don't win a lot of hockey games, but when he's in there, finds a way. His numbers aren't great, but they outscore a lot of their problems.
Yep.
And how about this? So we've talked about the troubles of the Pacific Division. The Ducks lead the Pacific. They are 7-4 in overtime this season and 8-0 in shootouts. So they are 15-4 in games decided beyond regulation. They've picked up 15 bonus points. And what does that mean? Well, it has them atop the division. They have the same number of regulation wins as the Calgary Flames.
Huh. Wow.
Every point matters.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So,
and 2 less than the Blues.
Right. So, it's tight in that Pacific that it could come down to tiebreakers. They don't fare particularly well there. Mind you, Vegas has 14 loser points. And that's kept them sort of afloat and in the mix as well. So, yeah, it's just a weird year. It's not a great division. That doesn't mean that it won't bounce back and be a lot better. And obviously, Anaheim looks like it's trending in the right direction for years to come. And San Jose may not be there right now, but they certainly are moving in the right direction as well. And someday the Canucks might get back in the picture there.
You'd hope.
We shall see. Yeah, 7:00 on Tuesday night, the Ducks and the Canucks. And just as an aside, when I mentioned Radko Gudas, the Toronto Maple Leafs still have to make their way to California, like late in the season for some reason. You can imagine the storylines there. I think Craig Berube might suit up for the Leafs for one night, but they'll be out for their pound of flesh without doubt, given what happened to their captain and their leading scorer. So,
should we try and predict who's going to fight Gudas on the Leafs?
Berube would want to believe that every single guy would be lining up to do it. I don't know how it's all going to play out, and so often these things get built up and they kind of fizzle, but I think the Leafs know that the hockey world is going to be watching them pretty closely there. So,
and especially in the same season, what happened with Philip Hedl at the end of last year, and Kiefer Sherwood said he's going to pay,
right?
But then it was next season and everything kind of fizzled out. This is
Toronto though,
and it's in the same month.
Austin Matthews, Anyhow, we're getting ahead of ourselves, but it's kind of weird that Toronto has to make a West Coast California road trip in the final 10 days of the regular season.
I'm going Dakota Joshua, former Canuck.
Yeah,
he'll do it.
All right, we shall see. All right, forgettable night for the Vancouver Canucks. I know there've been a lot of them, but this one just was lacking so much. So hopefully the final 13 don't look and feel like this one. They're not going to win a lot of their final 13, but get back to being that plucky bunch that felt that it had sort of cleared the air and trying to forge a new path here. Need the veterans and the leaders to be a whole lot better, and then have the young guys fall in line. It was fun to get you back in here. I hope we get the chance to do it again before the season is through. But thanks for stepping in and filling Irf's chair. He'll be back here with me on Tuesday night.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Again, check out the Zeev Buium story if you haven't had a chance to read it. Some really good quotes. And as we all kind of learn more about this player the Canucks acquired, articles like this one, I think, give you a pretty good window into the mindset of a young player that just wants to be a part of the solution here for the Vancouver Canucks. And we always say, check out Canucks Army for material like that and everything else that goes on around this hockey club. It's all there for you at CanucksArmy.com. All right. Our thanks to Jacob Fraser, helping out behind the scenes, our technical producer tonight for Tyson Cole. I'm Jeff. Again, thanks so much for hanging with us here on a Saturday night. The final score one more time. It was the St. Louis Blues 3, the Vancouver Canucks 1. That's going to do it for this episode of Rink Wide Vancouver.